It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week, we have a Red Hulk in the Captain America trailer.
Confirmed.
Yes, it's confirmed. It was trying to do the Avengers
all caps.
Hulk thing. Yeah, absolutely. If the toys at McDonald's 5 months ago didn't give it away, this trailer did. One of the two. Agatha is a horror series all along, and that we got a trailer for that as well. Marvel's just dishing out trailer after trailer after trailer, and we are here for it. Spider-Man Noir is not Peter Parker, and we're going to talk about what that means and more.
Yeah, just another low-key, week at Superhero Slate. Not a lot to talk about.
Nothing huge.
Not a lot of trailers. Nothing going on in our personal lives whatsoever. It's just the mundane as we just wait until San Diego Comic-Con gives us something interesting to do.
Or the inevitable heat death of the universe, whichever happens first.
Yes, I recommend everybody, if there's something externally distracting in your life, whether it's politics, an environmental disaster, if you really want to take your mind off of something, I would recommend what I just did last week and have a baby.
Whoa.
Bring a child into this world, a newborn, an infant.
This
birth
time of
it,
year.
add it to your household.
In this part of the country.
Yes, in the middle of the summer, I recommend it because you will have the perfect distraction for, an unnumbered amount of years. I mean, potentially here in the United States, I might need a distraction, a good distraction for 4 years coming up.
Well,
so
at least 18 legally you're required for it. If I've learned anything from Jamie Foxx and Kanye's song growing up as Gold Digger, but congratulations, Mike. I congratulations to you and your wife for having a healthy baby and being able to come back so quick to the show. I really appreciate that.
Yes, I was very curious how the podcast would go after this baby arrived, and of course there's absolutely no pattern or schedule established yet. I'm barely a week into this yet, but we got some family in town helping out. Thanks to superfan Jim last week for filling in for me on the podcast. I believe he was asked to fill in without a good, distinct, clear reason why, to protect my privacy, Chris, which I appreciate. So thanks a lot, Jim, for filling in for me.
Within 24 hours, too, because obviously, I mean, you were like, you sent a very, receptive photo, and I was like, okay, I don't have to ask him. He's not going to be on the show this week, so I need to find something quickly.
It all happened very, very quickly, which I believe is a common thing that happens in a lot of births. It's all of a sudden, same old, and then, baby is on the way. This is crazy. This is nuts. So this is our first, I guess, production baby. When you're watching a movie at the very end, they show you the babies during production. The first production baby for Superhero Slate podcast.
Yes.
And this will be a fun. I'll have new insights going forward on projects, because I've never looked at anything through like a family friendly or kid lens before. Which I mean, I don't know what the percentage is of people out there having kids, but I gotta imagine it's pretty high. Yeah. The human race would evaporate if people didn't have them. So maybe the next time I see the next Pixar trailer,
Inside Out
thinking,
3.
Oh, is this a movie? Yes, is this a movie I want to see? I'll be like, oh, is this a movie my kid wants to go see? Yeah. So I still need to see Inside Out 2. Maybe now is actually like the perfect time to see it. It's never been more perfect to watch that type of movie.
It is the third highest grossing animated film in the history of films now. So you'd be part of history watching that, Mike, if you can.
Yeah. All I want to do is raise a Pixar kid and not Illumination Minions kid. Like, no. That's the junk food. Let's, try to eat a little bit healthier. Watch the Pixar animated stuff.
Well, give them a choice. Let them feel like it's their decision. That's how you do it. Don't gatekeep it from them. Say, this is yours. But I mean, A podcast I listen to pretty regularly. The main host has had kids over since I started listening, and he's like, as a father, when he starts to talk about movies and how like things that affect him differently, he's like, well, as a father, and the other guy's like, oh my god, not this again. So I very much expect to have those conversations on the show with you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to flex this baby on everybody.
Oh yeah, you're gonna drop it on them. No, very excited. Thank you for having me back. Congratulations again. I'm glad everyone's happy, healthy, and we're here. But if you haven't, I mean, we're not going to talk about what we've been watching because obviously you are in an entirely new level of life right now. So you have nothing. Mm-hmm. I doubt you've been catching up on a lot of things. But I will tell you,
actually. Okay. Surprisingly, out of all the things that we've kind of been ignoring on this show, I am up to date on the Acolyte. I don't know how.
That's what
I found,
I was
like little
say.
Pockets.
Yeah. Well, so we watched literally within 12 hours all 7 episodes. Because we sat down yesterday and I was like, I need to watch it. It's going to finish up this week. I'd rather watch this over The Boys because I don't want to feel bad show. I want to feel good show.
Oh my god, I saw the perfect post the other day was. Is the Boys inspired by the United States or is the United States inspired by the Boys? Yeah. I'm like, oh god, I don't know if I have the mental bandwidth to check in on this season just yet, which is a shame because you could easily find a clip of me the last time that we talked about the Boys on the show, and every time I watch it, I go, this is the best thing happening in like comic book media right now. I'm sure this season is great, but yeah, I don't know exactly when is strategically the right time to watch this.
Exactly, and I'm the same way. We will get around to it. It's not necessarily us falling off the show. It's just summertime. You can't watch everything. As listener to the show, Patrick and I talked about, he was regaling me on that. But we did watch the Acolyte, so we were caught up on the Acolyte as well. So we might be able to do a season series.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we can. Yeah,
next week. My wife, she came at me, and we'll probably talk about more last week. She was like. She watched the first episode. She's like, what's everybody complaining about the show on the internet for? I was like, well, it's not the quality of the show, if that gives you any indication. And she's like, okay. And then we watched another one. She's like, I don't understand why people hate the show. I'm like, they don't hate the show. They hate that there's women in the show pretty much. And she's like, oh, kind of thing. And then we watched another one and she's like, okay, I get it now. I get why they're mad. I was like, she doesn't agree with them, but she's like, those people shouldn't be on the internet complaining about the show. So it was fun, regaling her with like, here's what the internet's saying and why they're saying it, not necessarily like having an outsider's point of view who doesn't live in this stuff, kind of go into it.
Yeah. And it's funny because the chatter, at least in my social media bubble with the Acolyte, has died down a lot in a negative sense. I wouldn't say I'm seeing glowing reviews every time I open up my apps, but for that first couple weeks, it was a heavy discourse about the quality of the Acolyte, and now it's like, oh, nobody's really talking about it right now. Maybe the season finale will, reignite it, if there's any twists or reveals or anything like that. But I think you got a good point. We'll come back next week and we'll have kind of full thoughts on it.
So we cut that. Yeah. So that's really what we've been up to as well, getting that done. But I'm going to jump into our first topic here because it's an interesting topic, and there's nothing out of it. There's like one bit of news out of this yet, but I think it's going to really affect us more down the road. And that is that Disney has suffered a 1.1 terabyte data hack through its Slack channels, which has been reported as of yesterday, and then starting to make some news articles today about stuff found in it. If nobody's familiar with Slack out there, if you happen to be lucky enough to not be in a corporate job where you have to use, internal communication tools, like maybe you're just blissfully unaware, like you're just a lumberjack in the woods and you've never heard the Slack notification noise before. I dream of your life. But it's basically like an internal like IM service. It's the Teams fact that, or something like that, if you're familiar with Teams or.
Yeah, I think this is I don't know if it was the same vulnerability, but Slack was also hacked, I believe, at Insomniac, right? I think that was the same route.
I think it's the same.
In which the hackers got that Wolverine stuff.
Was Insomniac, and then also they got to their data servers, and I think this is the same group that also did the Rockstar hack with the Grand Theft Auto 6.
Which is really funny because when I think about it in that perspective, right? You read these headlines of like a 1 terabyte hack like from Disney, and you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be groundbreaking. This is going to change everything. This is really going to shake things up. Like, is this company ever going to be the same? And it's just like, oh yeah, like this happened to Insomniac and would you say like Rockstar not long ago,
yeah.
and I've already forgotten, like I've forgotten about it already.
Well,
and it did happen, I would say, to a bigger extent at Sony, because that was like a foreign government attacking. But even then, like nobody even talks about that anymore. So I guess it's just, you always have to remind yourself that nobody's like finding a vaccine or like a neurological like like a gas agent. It's just, it's all entertainment,
Yeah, this isn't Mission Impossible. This isn't like, oh my God, if this data gets out, it'll sink the company kind of stuff.
Yeah,
either.
all these sleeper agents undercover will be found.
Yeah, it's nothing world changing. It's nothing company ending. 1.1 terabytes, not even a lot of data. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, Mike, like that is not.
Yeah, on a corporate. Yeah, on a corporate level, with I got to imagine there's a ton of people within those Slack channels. I mean, I've used Slack at previous jobs before, and there's like these little like macros that you can do where you can like type in like Giphy, and you can search like an animated GIF and like send it to your coworker like as a response. Like I legitimately wonder what percentage of this 1.1 terabytes is just people sending GIFs to each other.
Oh yeah,
which is really funny to me.
Well, it could lead to release information, concept art, unearthed details. However, the only thing I've gotten so far out of this, coming through the articles, is one whole channel dedicated to tabletop role-playing games like Warhammer 40K and Dungeons and Dragons, which shows that, again, this is just a chat group communication device, not a, hey, we have to use this to pass important information along. This is an email server hack, sadly, so we're not going to get that stuff. And then also something today was Fortnite and Family Guy had a crossover a couple seasons ago, and apparently the way that 20th Century Fox, which is owned by Disney, works, they didn't want like Peter to become like someone like a bad guy that you sought out to kill, even though he ended up being like a boss in the game. And then they released the chicken skin, the chicken with Peter, and pretty much this thing confirmed that they're not going to work with Fortnite again because like they couldn't agree upon how they wanted Family Guy presented even in the game. So like it's interesting that, because everyone's like, oh, they're gonna do more Family Guy stuff, but it's just like, well, this thing says they're not going to. So it seems a lot of this stuff even ended up through today. This chat, this group who got them, they're hacktivists. They're not holding it ransom. They don't want money. They just want to put the data out there. So I've not heard anything juicy yet, Mike. But I mean, to go through all this data will take a couple days. So I assume maybe if you have anything next week, we'll bring it back. But do be aware there could be potential spoilers. There could also be data that is completely untrue. We've seen that before, right? Like where the data, it was like 6 years old, and you're like, well, we are well past that point of exit, so we won't have that data anymore. So
when it comes to this show, I got to imagine the things that we're looking for maybe don't land in Slack channel. It's like in-person meetings or something like that.
Yeah. So like I said, email is something a little more strong, but anyway, so that's out there. If you see it, it's nothing major. It's nothing that's going to shake the foundation of Walt Disney Corporation. But we were just discussing right before we got on here is that Deadpool and Wolverine is out next week, Mike. We are less than 2 weeks away from this movie. We are very excited to watch it. And there was a 35-minute fan event or teaser event going on around the country, or not a country, the world, and screenshots and video clips from these are making their way online. So if you want to, again, as I said everyone the past several weeks, mute these keywords on your social media channels, avoid clicking anything that says or looks hacky, or not hacky, but like leaky and suspicious. Try to avoid spoilers. I want to go into this as clean as I can and really enjoy myself. It's our only Marvel movie of the year, Mike, and they can't hold anything back now, as we like to say on the show. But if anyone is worried about this, the review embargo lifts next week, July 23rd, that Tuesday. So we will be hearing official reviews leading up to the launch. So that's pretty exciting for me.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yes, and for people curious, the movie is 1 hour and 59 minutes without the credits, making it a hair shorter of Deadpool 2. So it sounds like it's going to be a nice, tight film along the way. Everyone was like, oh, it'll be 3 hours with all the cameos. I think a lot of those cameos are clickbaits, so be prepared to temper your expectations along the way. Unless Taylor Swift shows up at your screening, then kudos to you. All right, we're going to start with our first trailer. We got this earlier in the week, and a lot of people may have forgotten about it already with everything going on in the news this week. But Agatha All Along gave us our first official teaser of the show. Not necessarily a title announcement, but a teaser, and it really showcases the cast of characters coming in this, and Agatha breaking out of the hex, and something I was not really expecting, Mike, but a lot of scary / horror vibes along the way in this teaser. That I thought it was going to be more comedy, but it's not, it seems like.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, we got another big Marvel trailer to talk about coming up here next. But I wasn't expecting any of this until later this month, and at the latest, in August for D23. So kind of casually popping open my phone when I had 2 seconds at the hospital last week. I'm like, wait, what? This trailer happened? So I finally got a chance to watch this one, and I hope this is like a nice little fun, like fall vibes, like series, like Halloween. I wish there was more movies or content in the realm of kind of hocus pocus. It's kind of like I want like cozy, but like a little spooky, but family friendly vibes. And I feel like this trailer is giving me that. They even bill it here in the trailer as like a Halloween event or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel this feels like a show that might succeed in spite of the Chapek era, right? This is 100% something that was greenlit out of Chapek's endeavor to put as much stuff on Disney Plus as possible. This was when he was greenlighting just everything. Anybody had a Marvel idea, you're getting a Disney Plus series. How fast and cheap can you make it was kind of the plan. So this seems to be almost the only thing to come to fruition out of that fever dream, right? So far, I'm hoping it will be good because it seems like it's born out of the WandaVision formula, right?
So the cool thing about this is that, and I think this is where it becomes a benefit, is that it is created and I believe even directed / showrun, by Jack Schaefer, who was the creator of WandaVision. So like to keep that, I guess that energy from WandaVision over to this is going to be the beauty of it. But the thing about this, it also doesn't look like WandaVision. It feels like there's a vision here. We want a horror show focused on witches and witchcraft and the coven and stuff like that. The coven's a big word in a lot of content right now. If you like witches, you are just eating large this year. But what was cool about this, you get to see like a cast of characters. It looks like there's some like kind of the ring scenarios. Like it looks like that one kid is being chased by like some lady walking like Exorcist style, like upside down with her head backwards and twisted around. The arms around the trees look very creepy. And then the thing that I kind of didn't expect was them showing like a dead body of Wanda Maximoff very early on in this trailer, like literally kind of showing that. But if you go look pretty closely, the clothing she's wearing looks like the Earth 838's version of Wanda, which she has the blue track or zip up hoodie and like the I think jeans wasn't on. So it's not the one that we saw die. It looks like the one that was killed in that universe. I think the biggest question that I have for this show is where does the story transpire, right? Are we going to be seeing everything happening inside of like Agatha's head / inside of this hex that she is imprisoned? Is this going to somehow magic is going to slip her into another universe and that's where the story is going to transpire? Or is she going to be like in literal like Westfield, maybe everything we saw in this trailer, like first episode or something like that. And then the second episode, she's like, she broke out. She's out in the real world. She's on like a revenge tour or something, but they seem to lean heavy into like this procedural cop vibe, which I don't know if they're going to kind of go with the same trope of maybe a different theme every week. Yeah, it seems like the beginning of the movie or the show doesn't, like a little bit like, oh, we're gonna do this, and then there's Aubrey Plaza's Rio Vidal who's like, you need to break out of this, and then I think it goes into a more like she wants to walk the witches road, but she needs multiple witches to go with her, and it looks like they're gonna go find other powered people. Now I will tell you, the character Joe Locke, the younger gentleman in this show, is very rumored in this. Put this, Mike, take your salt out, throw it in your mouth. because is rumored to be one of Wanda's sons who was like came to life in the world after like she wanted them to be alive. So like the Wiccan one, not the one who dressed up as her as a kid rather than the speedster one. So could tie in this. I've heard rumors that possibly Wanda will be at the end of the Witch's Road, like she'll make an appearance, like Elizabeth Olsen will be there at the end, doing a cameo as well, and then tie this into more like everyone's talked about wanting to bring Wanda back, right? Everyone wants Wanda back alive. So I don't know if it's a Secret Wars thing or how they're gonna do it, but it looks to be a very much a live in the magic realm. And then also Deborah Jo Rupp, who was in the WandaVision, is back in this. Kitty from that 90s or that 70s show, now I guess that 90s show is in here as well. So I do think your Westfield idea is there, like they're still in the town, but I don't know where that big glowy door goes in the floor either. Like you said, that could go somewhere else. So I'm excited. It's got 2-episode debut on September 18th. That puts it the last episode coming out right around Halloween, Mike. So we should be having
fun, spooky
fall season. A lot of people are gonna be dressing up as Agatha for Halloween parties. Ooh, okay, all right, we'll cut it out. But Agatha All Along very, very quickly came and went because it was overshadowed by the very quickly out of the blue drop trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, Mike. And you asked me literally, why would they not save this for Comic-Con? Same with Agatha All Along D23. And I said, well, they've got to get this out before Deadpool starts next week. So that's it right there.
Which is and this is I saw this in my, I guess, inbox from Chris early morning, waking up from a late night newborn feeding session. I was like, am I seeing this right? Is this one of those dumb AI trailers that Chris is sending to me? Because he does that. He doesn't do it to punk me. He does it to just reiterate, I hate these things so much.
I hate them so goddamn much. Yeah.
I also hate it. And then it's just like, is this real? And then, it is real. And boy, am I conflicted. I'm conflicted because we've had so many reports of this movie, like not, being great. Trying to retool it.
Again, a year and a half ago, that was when those reports came in. So,
Iger doesn't want to put bad stuff out anymore. But then, fuck, this trailer is slick, right? I mean, I know it's these are two different departments, right? I think I saw something to the affect of, if you spend $300 million on a movie, you better be able to at least get a good 2-minute trailer out of it, even if it's bad. So I was like, okay, that's a fair take. I like that. But this trailer is slick. I love the vibe of it. It feels very Winter Soldiery, secret mission, spy, coverty.
So it starts. There's it's like a violin string being struck very sharply, briefly throughout this.
It's kind of like a countdown clock in a way, almost.
It gives you pressure. It feels pressure watching this. Like oh my god, I'm claustrophobic watching this show because everything's happening so close and so fast. And it's got Harrison Ford's first live action appearance as General Ross, replacing the late I can't think of the actor's name. I do that from time to time. I'm blanking, but they even briefly mentioned that, hey, why don't you have a mustache? I had to shave it off so I could do better in the polls.
Win the election.
We get Sam in the some of the white Captain America stuff. We get Giancarlo Esposito's new character shows up 4 times in this trailer, doing Winter Soldier shit, kind of as you mentioned, right?
Which is interesting, right? Because we know for a fact that he is the addition to the movie. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago of how much can you add a new character in post, but you can't necessarily blend them throughout the movie, right? You only have the ability to sprinkle them. So I'm curious how integral to the plot he's going to be.
They could.
I saw that you
Go ahead.
You have this down here in our notes here that it looks like we at least got some rough confirmation of a Celestial, possibly in some background screenshots.
There's some stuff early on in the first, I think, third of the trailer. In the last third, you see Falcon flying around, and I would say this is where the CGI looks the shoddiest because it looks like an orange sunset in a very watery, blurry thing. But you can see literally I think is one of the fingers of the Celestial, Tiamat from Eternals, in the background there. And we've heard rumors. We've talked about rumors for years that they were going to include this in the movie at some point. So it sounds like even if they've retooled the movie, they've not taken that part out yet. One of the other characters they've retooled is Shirah's Ruth Batsaroff. She used to be a character called Sabra, who has been in the comics for years, an Israeli, I guess, agent,
like Commando or something like that.
Yeah, but she's now an ex-Black Widow operative who has the trust of General Ross. So she's in the trailer for a minute. I do watch all my stuff,
and we know why that. It's like we know why that change happened. So maybe that's like decent pivot on their end.
That's an opportunity to take it, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I watch everything on YouTube with captions on because not only am I visually engaged, I want to see stuff as well when they go back. But they do confirm the leader, Tim Blake Nelson's leader, is doing voiceover work in the middle of the trailer as well. It was really, really cool to see this. But I think there's a spy movie with Gary Oldman called Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
This trailer feels like one of those movies, doesn't it? Like an early one of the first Bourne movies, a little bit. Like it's got the flashing, the black and the white, and like they're gonna do some redacted text covering eventually, right? This is all gonna be off the books kind of things. And I agree with you. It shouldn't feel that good based on what we've heard and what we've reported on over the years, but it feels like they're putting. Even if the trailer's any indication, and we know sometimes it's not, but we at least could tell, what was it, a Madam Web sucked from the trailer. So that there's a plus here. It feels okay.
It inspires confidence, which is what they need right now.
Exactly. So we have the swell of positivity. At least fandom and hype for Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, they're going out, they're doing the Bachelorette or the Bachelor promos, having fun. They're doing the aviation gin bottles. Everyone's loving it. They got the world's ugliest dog in the movie out on the press tours with them having a good time. So there's that. So they got to ride that swell. And Agatha All Along felt pretty good. Captain America: Brave New World feels pretty good. And then just when I think they wouldn't do it, Mike, just when I thought this trailer's done, they're not going to do it. They're just going to do a roar at the end. Okay, they're teasing the Red Hulk. They show the goddamn Red Hulk, Mike, right on the screen with us, grabbing the Captain America shield and throwing it down. Surrounded by cherry blossoms even at the White House. So I can't believe they actually put that in there. If I'm going to be completely transparent, I cannot believe they've done that already.
I mean, honestly, they needed it to, right? They need to, like we just said, inspire confidence, engage in hype, put this in front of the Deadpool trailer. One funny thing that I've been seeing online, people asking earnestly about the origin of Sam Wilson as Captain America, because not everybody does their homework, like Chapek turned the, Disney Plus into. Where, oh no, you have to go watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. On top of that, also maybe go back and rewatch Endgame so you remember kind of how it ended. Yeah. And you just gotta. There's a lot you have to kind of keep up on.
Hashtag it's all connected.
But but I would say people are having maybe some of the same concerns that I'm having just with the character in general. Of like, I understand how somebody could be super powered with a kind of like a Wakanda powered suit, which is what we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but still bugs me. I can't quite get over it that he can throw the shield with such ease. We don't see it specifically in this trailer, but he does seem to be tossing it around like Captain America would.
In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, man, he had a montage.
Oh, that fucking montage. But anyway, I do think it is kind of funny. We are to the point finally in the MCU where people are just like, somebody needs to hold my hand. I have no idea how this even happened. Like so many people checked out after Endgame, right? And they're like, no, this is enough. And then they're kind of seeing these trailers like, oh, Deadpool's coming back. That's cool. Oh, what is this? A new Captain America movie? I thought that dude died at the last movie I watched. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot more of explainer videos online getting watched, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think I've seen more Who is the Red Hulk than anything else, if I'm going to be completely honest. In mine, it's more like, who is the Red Hulk and what is... Obviously, that's the buzzwords. That's the keywords, right, that people are trying to tag onto right now. But everyone looks at that. And I think, even though it historically in the comic books, it has been Thunderbolt Ross, what if Esposito's character is the Red Hulk, is the red herring. I know it's wild. And how do you do it in 30 days and put him in there? Well, we saw 30 days outside filming, not inside green screen filming, or anything like that. But like, if you look at our thumbnail that you created, Harrison Ford's hair is a lot lighter gray than the Red Hulk. It's not saying he couldn't transform and turn, but like a theory I will toss out here just to prove that we're thinking about it. He matches the same color and haircut that Giancarlo Esposito's character has. If you look at him. So
yeah, I was doing some pants analysis earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, freeze frame. I was like, did I see anybody wear these pants? But unfortunately, they're a little too nondescript trousers.
They cut it so well with that. So trailers in the show notes. Look at that. We're gonna keep going off. I think we'll probably have. I don't think we as consumers will get it, but the public will not. But like, they're going to show probably some extended stuff at San Diego Comic-Con. They showed some extended stuff of this a couple weeks ago at CinemaCon, I think, that they cut from here. So excited to see kind of what they're bringing to San Diego. And I think the cast for this will be there. They'll probably even confirm Esposito's character possibly on stage as well. So we'll see. But moving on, Avengers 5 is still, they're still threatening us with this, Mike, after all this time. No, I say that. I kid. But Michael Waldron, who wrote the script, has handed the script off and left to work on the next film. A lot of people are like, oh my God, he's leaving the movie. Well, a writer writes the movie, gives it to the studio and says, here you go. And then they usually are not brought back in after they start filming it, right, in pre-production. They like, here it is. They'll touch it up, but they won't pay a writer to do it. They'll have like script, what do they call them? Not supervisors, Mike, but like touch up artists on scripts.
Script doctors?
Yeah, script doctors. So my guess is they're going to be doctoring it until it begins, not really rewriting it. So the same report comes to say that the next film that he's likely working on is actually Avengers Secret Wars. So Waldron will be writing, nothing that's confirmed or announced yet, but doing both Avengers films to keep the continuity between them, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't recall who wrote Age of Ultron. Was it the same writer as Infinity War and Endgame?
No. Age of Ultron was Whedon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's good to have continuity in writers.
Yeah, so the duo who wrote Infinity War and Endgame also wrote Winter Soldier and Civil War. So that's why all those movies work well. And they have a directing duo of this. So Waldron, he wrote Multiverse of Madness, again, which you have recently revisited, and we're like, oh hell yeah, this is a good movie. So I feel confident he can handle the multiverse stuff and have a good time with it. So excited about this news. I think we'll get some confirmation possibly next week, which brings us very quickly into our next topic of San Diego Comic-Con, which is literally July 27th. We are 2 weekends away from it, Mike, and this is very exciting for us.
I was just coordinating with Chris before we started recording. I guess amazing synergy for Marvel. Deadpool comes out that very same week. I guarantee there's going to be like free screenings down there in San Diego and downtown to watch this movie. Man, what a crowd to watch that movie with. That's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out like, oh yeah, we're going to have to record like 2 episodes. This is going to be probably the biggest weekend for the podcast all year, covering Deadpool and San Diego Comic-Con. So bear with us. Yes. We will be busy for sure. But we will absolutely be reacting to everything.
We are going to be working around Mike's schedule as a new father to make this work for you guys. So
I'll bring the baby on the show, get her reactions,
yeah, exactly.
Her blank void stares to everything.
Yeah, exactly. I bet she's got really good inputs on how to make Deadpool better, if you will.
She better, if she wants to live in this household, she's gonna have to have opinions.
I swear, I really hope you're just playing old episodes to her, like over like instead of like lullabies. You're just,
hey, that's a good idea.
Here's some old podcasts to listen to. Good old Uncle Chris. You don't know him yet, but you will.
Listen, it's just like training AI, just in a more organic way.
It's a longer term training. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But so Saturday, July 27th, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific. So 9 to 10 here Eastern is Marvel's panel. They have confirmed that on their schedule. So that's Hall H. It's usually it's shorter than usual, but there's a Kevin Smith thing starting at 7:30. So no big deal there. Very excited to kind of see what they bring to the table. And I kind of made a list here, mostly for SEO purposes, but what's left to announce? Avengers 5 directors, Fantastic Four information, which they're filming next day, X-Men information, Secret Wars writer, Doctor Strange 3, Shang-Chi 2, Thor 5, Legendary Star-Lord even. I forgot he was even getting something at the end of Guardians 3 until recently. So, I don't know. Literally, I'm up in the air unless those Slack channels turn out to be something good and juicy for us. But I've got nothing yet, Mike. This is it's an interesting. You mentioned it's a great weekend for Deadpool and for Marvel because of Deadpool and this. But all the Deadpool news it seems to be like drowning out everything else popping up in the background. So that's a positive, but also a negative because I'm like, I wonder what's going to come out of this. I mean, anything else I missed on this list that you'd want to see?
Oh, I mean, everything else that's missing, it will be following up at the next event. They're basically doing a part 1 and part 2 here for the summer releases.
So as we get closer to San Diego Comic-Con, that'll come and go. And then in August, Disney does their own event. You may have heard us talk about it called D23, which is that bi-yearly, every 2 years, Mike? They do a D23.
Yeah, every 2.
And they have confirmed that Marvel Television, or Marvel Animation, it's not television, I'm going to correct this. Marvel Animation will bring news about What If Season 3, maybe another sizzle reel because we already had that one teaser. X-Men 97 Season 2 was even brought up with their new, they have a new showrunner taking over Bo DeMayo's spot. But I know they've already written a lot of it, so I don't expect a lot of changes. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is an animated show that should be coming out later this year, but we have no idea if it ever will because they keep changing it in the title. Then Eyes of Wakanda previews as well, which is the show that will come out this year and is set directly in the MCU. Mike, you were on the show last week, but they confirmed Eyes of Wakanda will be an MCU set show to give us the history of the MCU through Wakanda's little spies that they send out into the world.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, I want to see what Eyes of Wakanda looks like. We've not actually had any confirmation on what the art style is. And I would love to see that because we talked about it off air, but last week we had the Watchmen Part 1 trailer, right? And if you and I discussed that Watchmen Part 1 literally looks like the What If animation style. And I don't know if that's an art choice. Is it cheaper to make that like that? Is it what people are enjoying? But I think Eyes of Wakanda will, again, visually be different because every animated show thus far out of Marvel Animation has been drastically, I guess, visually different overall to me. Like, I can't think of a single art style they've shared. What If is one, X-Men's another. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man looks like comic book cutouts. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Mike, anything you want to add to D23 animation?
No, I mean, it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
This is like the summer of news, and hopefully we'll be riding the high of a good, Deadpool release.
Yeah.
It's all coming up. Superhero Slate.
D20, we're extending the show. We're getting renewed with every one of these announcements as it keeps coming out. D23 is always great because I never know what they're going to bring. And, despite the fact that they have Marvel Animation, Marvel Television could be there, but I think New York Comic-Con will be Marvel Television's time to shine later this year.
Well, also to a lesser extent, we don't often talk about the theme parks on the show that often.
Yeah.
But D23 is where they usually do their big like theme park update and announcement. So maybe we'll finally get some news on that Avengers campus multiversal Thanos ride. So that could be kind of like a dark horse bit of news that we'll have.
They need that because, boy, I'm still bitter about how bland that park is.
Well, you didn't like seeing those that stunt show up on that catwalk in the 100-degree heat from 40 feet away
with three characters who were dead in the MCU. Yeah, no, not at all. Loved it, man. I wish they could keep doing it every day. It was fun.
Is Taskmaster technically dead? I thought Taskmaster was still alive.
Taskmaster is still in there, but I guess Black Panther and then Black Widow were there. I forgot. I thought there was another. There's not another one. You're right. It's just two. Because we saw, was it the Falcon up there? We waved to him when he was just like on his phone or something on the balcony at one point.
He was just chilling.
Yeah, but like Black Panther and Black Widow, I'm like, you could have used two more modern characters, I guess, but they have the coolest effects to use because Black Panther climbed up the wall with a little rope attached to him. So, anyway, it's fine. Moving on, Spider-Man Noir. This TV series on Amazon is just wild. It gets wilder and wilder. We are in the Nicolas Cage era of crazy things. Longlegs just came out last weekend, I think. His little scary movie he's doing where he's the villain. But the biggest news here is that Spider-Man Noir will update the story so that Nicolas Cage is playing a different name of Spider-Man. And the logline is Amazon Prime set to bring a fresh twist to the Spider-Man saga with their upcoming show. Breaking from tradition, this series will feature Nicolas Cage's Ben Reilly rather than the iconic Peter Parker. And if you know Ben Reilly, what is that name from, Mike?
He's a clone.
He is. He's usually the Scarlet Spider as well. He's known for wearing that sweatshirt. However, I think I'm going to use a big asterisk on this, Mike, and you tell me what you think. That Amazon will use Ben Reilly, and he will be everything that Peter Parker is, but Ben Reilly in name alone because they cannot use Peter Parker as a name. This is a Batman in Gotham without Batman scenario.
Yeah, this is weird. It just feels like the strategy of Amazon Prime, just picking up the crumbs of the MCU and other superhero universes. I'm very grateful for them for, I guess, technically saving the new Batman animated series, but
Crusader,
it's odd that that's not on Max because it seems like that's where it should be, right? They're doing the
David
same thing.
Zaslav is a normal man with normal things. So, yeah.
He's a normal man that does not eat humans. I'm sure about it. But yeah, there's something else. I thought there was
there was
other...
the Silk Spider Society that was going to be on Amazon, but they killed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's just the whole time I think about this, it's just what's the strategy here long term? And any one-off idea with good writers, can make a good show. But, do I mentally invest in this? Maybe. No. I mean, Nicolas Cage is kind of exciting, but
from Ghost Rider to Spider-Man Noir animated to Spider-Man Noir live action is going to be crazy. I think it will be a different type of Spider-Man Noir. I think it'll be like a 30s, kind of gangster noir kind of thing. And he's like an older, washed up cop rather than the version we saw in the comic books. But moving on, actor Brendan Gleeson, who's known for Mad-Eye Moody in Harry Potter, he's the Edge of Tomorrow. He's in a lot of stuff. Joins the show as the lead villain, and he's most likely going to play a crime leader version of Norman Osborn because he looks like a Norman Osborn kind of thing guy, right? And then Lamorne Morris from the show New Girl as Robbie Robertson. So they're casting people around higher name actors around this show. Now that doesn't mean good actors equals quality, but I don't think of a lot of the things Brendan Gleeson's been in, and I'm like, oh, that's awful, right? I feel he could do anything he wants at this point in his life, and if he's choosing to do that, there's got to be something about it along the way. But I'm excited. I'm not excited. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. I'm actually pulling up Brendan Gleeson's Wikipedia page of movies. Oh, he's in the new Joker movie as well. Look at that. So we'll keep you guys posted on this crazy show. All right, let's shift into the weekly thing where we talk about Superman set photos and videos because, boy, this is becoming a habit at this point, it feels like. Remember when we used to have turtles every week and now we have this? So it's pretty
I love this though, because this just harkens back to a simpler time where the telephoto lens could tell us everything we wanted to know about a movie. So even though I constantly complain about James Gunn just terminally being online and just stop responding to every random person that has a question about your projects coming up, he still seems to have time to go out in the real world and film. So God bless him. It's so fun. I think one of these pictures is him on a spinning arm or something, fighting that one
the Ultraman looking.
Is that what it is?
Well, there's the Ultraman, Mr. Terrific, and Engineer, and I think it's Ultraman. I think it's the black suited dude who looks like Black Noir for Onset kind of person.
Yeah. But it's just it's so much fun.
Yeah, well,
this is just great. And the thing is, James Gunn knows that this stuff is going to be seen too, but he's confident enough that it's not going to ruin the story, or anything like that. So this is a solid move. Very professional. I love it.
Well, three things. I would say first and foremost, I think he came out already and said he's like, I'm not stupid enough to film anything with spoilers out in the open where people can video. Fair enough. You're a director. You know what you're doing. You have a whole team. behind you. You're not the one making all the shots. People are calling shots for you. Number two, last week there was an explosion on set. This week they're using the actual baseball field on set. They're using real sets, Mike, like real locations, and I think that's fantastic for filming production because then it's not all a green screen. It's not a blue screen, right? It's not, a lot of directors are coming back. They're building the sets. They're having this kind of stuff, and I enjoy that they're using a real baseball field to film this stuff, and I think that's cool as hell. And then number three, James Gunn, he's just still on social media because he's released the official logo of Superman. We are 1 year, 3 days ago, we were 1 year out from Superman. And the official logo, which we've seen in a blue million other places. So no surprise here, but he thought we should all see it.
Now we just have a slightly higher resolution, something to play around with.
All the merchandise is going to be all over the place on this. People are going to be making fakes. Now, I will tell you, I don't like the sun glare behind the logo. It looks weird to have a glare behind a logo that's printed on something. What do you think about that?
I assume that that's there to inspire hope. It's the sunshine. This is not going to be a dark, gloomy Superman. This is going to be a bright sun, cheery Superman. Nothing can be held back. They have an entire franchise, multi-billion dollars in the future riding on this one movie. And it just seems, it seems like he's doing everything right. It doesn't seem like there's any shortcuts being taken, so this is thumbs up. I'm looking forward to this.
I think the social media announcements are taking some shortcuts. So like when we saw that first suit and we kind of, ribbed it a little bit, looking loose as he had that big explosion in the background or whatever was going on. But I am excited. I'm not down. I'm not dire on this in any means. Last week we also saw the first look at Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern. Do you saw that as well with his little red hair bowl cut kind of look? So they're having lots of fun with that stuff. So it looks like he's making the movie he wants to make, and we'll keep you more. But that shifts into the next movie, which I believe will be the second movie in the DCU. Sadly, but also good, is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now, I'm not sad that it's Supergirl. It's kind of weird that they're just doing Superman, Supergirl in a DC universe when there's literally hundreds and thousands of other characters they could be working on that aren't Batman and Superman adjacent. So sad to do it, but we got our first look at possibly the Supergirl logo for this from some San Diego Comic-Con merch. And it looks like the S is also very, what's that called? Kingdom Come inspired of Supergirl as well here. So
my assumption my assumption would be since Supergirl, for all intents and purposes, Kryptonian, similar in superpowers, somewhat similar story and origin. Obviously they come at saving the world from their own perspectives, but I guess depending on the storyline you're reading, they're literally related as well. So I'm trying to think, well, how do you differentiate yourself rather than kind of just making the same movie? I would think that her movie is going to maybe reveal something bigger within the universe, like a bigger character, a bigger villain that's being set up for the future.
So her movie is set in space, not on Earth. So that's a plus because she's usually out in space doing superpowered stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
And the comic book Woman of Tomorrow they're taking from is out in space. And also last week, Jason Momoa is rumored again to be Lobo, the villain of that, who is a space bounty hunter.
Now, this is really going to set the tone for how James Gunn is going to approach space.
Yeah.
In this version, because we see what it looks like in the MCU.
And he said that. He drove that with Guardians. So
but Lobo drives a space motorcycle.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what that's going to look like. That's going to be interesting.
I would love to see what they do with that. I think James Gunn, even if he's not designing it, if he puts someone else in charge of space for that, but he does have a really, really good, again, he did set Marvel space up with Guardians 1. So absolutely killer. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But shirts, if you're into Supergirl stuff, this is the least revealing Supergirl costumes or merch I've seen in a long time. So we've got that going for us in that. Third bit of DC news is the final designs for the creature Commandos has been revealed. This is a publication for a comic book cover. So they're going to use new comic books. We'll use stuff from the movies, and this is one of them. And honestly, not much has changed other than Rick Flag Sr. looks a little more jacked than he did in the first one. A little grayer hair.
Looks a little hunkier.
Yeah.
The art looks beautiful. If this, I mean, I know you said it's a comic book cover, so they usually go a little bit more off model when you're doing just standalone illustrations. The things have to be a little bit more structured when you're animating them, but the characters look amazing. I love the dark dramatic shading. This feels very kind of like anime coded in a way, of just with the dynamic poses of the characters, like that Rick Flag pose that looks like straight out of like a Studio Trigger like character.
Is this a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Is that what we're doing over here? But like also like
so it looks great.
The shading and shadowing looks very anime-ish, like especially like the fish person in the bottom right. I don't know any of these characters' names, so I'll be honest with you. So and like it looks fun. I mean it looks wild. And I'm excited to see what it looks like in motion. So hopefully it's good, because this will be like, I think, the first official DCU content launch. So later this year. So we'll see how that plays off. And based on the background, it looks like they're in like maybe old Europe, right? Based like an old European castle kind of going on there. Maybe that's where all the creatures come from. So if we get any more information, we'll pass along. But you can check out that link in our show notes. And lastly, this is a double bit here, but I've classified it under Lanterns. The show is that Lanterns and the Penguin shows have struck deals with the actual channel HBO to debut on there simultaneously with Max. So these are no longer Max originals. They have moved to a split streaming release. So if you don't have Max and are paying for HBO, you can get it. I forgot HBO as a channel was a real thing until I saw this news, if I'm going to be completely honest, but they are apparently huge.
This is crazy. This is like a bigger kind of like streaming news strategical update. There's this big shift over at HBO Max, which is not even the right name. I keep forgetting it's Max, which proves the point here. They realize how valuable the brand HBO is, like even after trying to throw it away, they're like, oh, people still look at that as like prestigious, so now they're bringing it back. So now all these things that were originally supposed to be Max originals, like the premium Harry Potter series, is now going to be an HBO series. So it's a smart move. I mean, it makes me wonder, how long does it take until they rebrand Max just back to HBO again? I don't know. But it is pretty hilarious.
It depends on whoever buys.
Doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Whoever buys Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery will do it. Max, obviously, I think inherited, what was it? Not Showtime. What did it inherit? The Discovery. It was Discovery and Max merged together to make Max. So absolutely, I think this is a good thing. I have no qualms with things being on both channels. I think honestly, if they can split the costs. They make more money probably, I think, off the regular channels, and a lot of people still pay for cable or add on HBO, if you will. Max comes with my internet subscription, so that's a plus. But no issues here. I think that's a great thing to put on as many things as you can when it launches, rather than just one. Apple TV keeps coming out with content that I hear keeps firing off. I keep hearing great things about new movies and new shows on Apple TV Plus. And the newest trailer we got is one for the upcoming series, which is a remake of Time Bandits, a 1980s film. I don't know if you ever watched Time Bandits or not, Mike.
I know absolutely nothing about Time Bandits at all, so I have absolutely no nostalgia or knowledge of it. It sounds familiar, so at least maybe that is strong enough to warrant a remake. I don't think I've seen. Well, I guess I was gonna say I haven't seen Taika Waititi do maybe family-friendly stuff before, but he has worked with kind of like kids as leads before, in Hunt for the Wilder People and Jojo Rabbit. This isn't totally out of his wheelhouse.
And some of the other stuff. And this is like, Time Bandits was originally a Terry Gilliam film of Monty Python fame, starring, it even had John Cleese in it, Sean Connery, the recently deceased Shelley Duvall was in it. It's really, and some other people, Michael Palin from Monty Python as well. So it was really a very wonky film where like a kid is fascinated with history, and then he finds out like his house is like a nexus point for like going through time, and these people are going through time, stealing things from and having like an adventure through time. And I enjoyed it. It's an 81 film. It's got a lot of that like very Monty Python sketch-esque kind of things throughout, because they're in different times, they're in different eras throughout. So I think that's interesting to me, and to see Taika Waititi take on this is going to be interesting with the modern update. I really was kind of impressed with Lisa Kudrow from Friends fame as the lead actress here. I thought she's playing interesting, like it's like kind of like a Jack Sparrow, if you will. It felt like a little bit at times, but like, oh, I'm down with this. Taika Waititi I think he's the hero, or not the hero, like one of the good gods in this. He even like appears as a the water king of the sea, Poseidon, at one point. And then Jermaine Clement, frequent collaborator with Waititi, Fight the Conchords. He is the villain in this, dressed up as like a big demon dude. So I don't think I need to go out and buy Apple Plus to watch this right away, but I'm excited for an update on this movie. It was in 81, so 43 years later, we can get a remake of it. I think that's fine. I mean, since you're not into this, you've never seen the original. You think you'd be up for watching it, or is this a pass from you?
Is it a series or is it a movie?
It's a series,
because
I can understand.
Because if it was a movie, I'd maybe be more inclined to check it out. But hey, I don't know if I'm going to invest my time into this unless I hear. This is kind of one of those things where it's like I'll check it out if people start talking about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being like a million other things
10.
that Apple has made that I haven't got around to watching.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes, and they're doing the 2 a week thing, kind of not like Monarch, but they're doing 2 a week here. But like I said, Apple TV Plus is like they're like the James Cameron of streaming services, right? Like you're like, yeah, why you did okay once or twice, but they keep coming out with bangers. There's like, I can't think of anything like absolutely tragic or like awful out of Apple TV Plus, like offhand, right? Like I was like, no one said anything horrible, so it's got to be great. I mean, Ted Lasso was came out of there, right? So I know they
Ted Lasso, Severance,
Shrinkage.
A lot of stuff going on. Shrinking.
Yeah. So they're doing a lot of stuff, and I know like Killers of the Flower Moon, was an Apple TV Plus project. Again, Monarch Legacy Monster. So we'll see. I'm just curious. I put it in here, not knowing what you thought, and then I think what is actually the biggest news of the week, Mike, and which I thought about putting this into the thumbnail with the Red Hulk, is the surprise announcement of Shrek 5 coming out in July of 2026, and I don't know if you saw Puss in Boots: The Last Wish yet or not, Mike.
I saw it. It's a lovely movie.
It's absolutely fantastic. Well, the ending of that sets up this film, right? Because they go back to he's like, I know people I got to go find, kind of thing. And they've confirmed the original cast: Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz coming back. Shrek has become. I enjoyed Shrek 1 and 2 when in the early 2000s. They've now become memes. All the Shrek memes that you can find. Shrek raves, even, Mike. People send me Shrek raves because they know I love a good Shrek. I'd love to get that Shrek tube TV we've talked about on the show before. The mystery. So I would love to take part in Shrek 5. And I'm glad we're in an era where you have a child to get to go experience Shrek with. Not necessarily for the first time there, but you're going to have a good time.
I mean, my two notes is, one, I hope they try to continue some of the creative art style that they established with Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, The Last Wish.
With the Shrek movie, because I would love to see like a little shot of, inspiration, kind of restarting the Shrek franchise. Mm-hmm. And also, this movie comes out July 1st, 2026. Yes. 2026, and my kid will be 2 years old, and I'm thinking Shrek-themed second birthday party. That is perfect. We'll all go to the movies, enjoy some Shrek. It'll be great.
I can't wait till you redecorate the nursery as a Shrek swamp instead of, because you already kind of got a theme there with the forest vibe going on. It wouldn't take a lot to get into a swamp there, so I
exactly.
imagine that. It's the most tragic bit of this news is that the lead singer of Smash Mouth, who sang All Star, passed away last year. So we will not be getting a new song from the same singer for this. But I'm excited. This is a fun little silly thing. I enjoyed, like I said, Shrek 1 and 2. And it's just kind of one of those things like, Eddie Murphy, I guess has maybe had like a minor resurgence lately, if you will. I know Axel
he's
F
got that sequel.
Yeah, has been doing good, right? On Amazon, I think. Is that where it is?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people.
No, I think it's Netflix. Sorry.
Yeah, either way, Axel F, people have been loving it. He's doing that again, coming back. I don't remember Cameron Diaz anything either, or Mike Myers, but sure, why not? Put them in the voice booth. Get their lines going while we can. Lastly, last bit of news, Mike. I know you were sorely wanted to talk about this last week. I even put it in the notes for you. Is the Hellboy, the Crooked Man trailer, which we talked about, and one of the things again I mentioned, and I'm gonna let you drive on there, was like it again you and I both discussed this. It looks low budget, but by God, it's the scariest Hellboy movie trailer I've seen so far, and that's awesome to me. But this is your time to
yeah, I mean. A lot of people sharing the sentiment of just like I want a Hellboy movie. It's like, oh, we have Hellboy at home, and it's this trailer. A lot of people didn't even know that this was in the works, because they're not listening to our show. They would know if they listen to our show.
That's right.
So they click on that YouTube trailer and they're just like, what is this coming from that same studio that's making those Winnie the Pooh horror movies? Like, what's happening here? I think this is a smart strategical move, right? The first two Hellboy movies were popping off during that early comic book gold run at the theaters a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tried to bring it back with David Harbour. I think David Harbour looked the part. We all loved the way it looked, but that movie sucked and nobody watched it. And it didn't make any money. So
the first
you
ones
have
really,
the IP, you got to
didn't
pivot.
either. I mean, I will be honest. The first ones are not box office darlings either. They are, what are they like? Fan felt like people love them after they came out rather than in the theaters.
Yeah, but they got the Guillermo del Toro juice behind them, so that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a smart strategic move to make for them. I mean, we are eagerly awaiting the same move that they're doing for Spawn coming up. So I'm curious how that's going to work, but this is smart though. You take your IP, you make something interesting, cheap, and see if you can get a return at the box office. I mean, obviously this isn't like to the scale of like the Golden Army or like some demons trying to come out from the Earth's crust and take over the entire planet. This is like Deadpool. I mean, not Deadpool. This is Hellboy, who is like a demon detective, and he's on a case. This is just any random issue of a Hellboy comic you'd pick up. They're adapting it to a screen. I think that's super smart, a good idea. I think I don't know who the lead is particularly. I don't know if I've seen him before.
Casey. I don't know where he's from either, but
he looks like a Hellboy to me. So I'm all on board for this. Like I paid good money to see that David Harbour Hellboy in theaters. I distinctly remember the seat I was sitting in, the slushy I was drinking, and just the awful time I was having. Mm-hmm. So I think this pivot is a smart idea. But, I mean, they're going to get backlash because it used to be more of a premium product, but I'm okay with it.
Well, I think people have an idea of a premium product, but again, if they couldn't even get Del Toro enough money to make the third one out of his second one, people weren't watching it in theaters; they're watching it at home. And as you mentioned, we've talked about this, I think, till we're blue in the face here. The theatrical model has to change a little bit, but like you can't have every movie be a tentpole movie, make or break your movie theater, right? Like you can't have a smash and grab opening weekend and expect to make all your money in the opening weekend. This low budget movie, you get a lot of people to watch it because it's good, word of mouth. You make your money back or more, you get another one. Guess what? You go pick another Hellboy story out in the middle, like not necessarily out in the middle of nowhere, but like pick a story that's good and tell a good story, and then just go on to another case for Hellboy, right? And just make them like this over and over again, and that'll work. And you get make your money in theaters, then put them on streaming after like a month or two, or paid via video on demand and streaming after that. And I think you've got a pretty good again model. A24, right? Not A24. What's it? Blumhouse. Well, maybe A24. They all started that way. They made cheap movies that were good, and then worked their way up to the bigger names like they do now. So I think there's an opportunity here. And as I mentioned last week on the show, it's also written by the guy who created Hellboy.
Mike Mignola.
Yeah, Mignola, and then a guy who writes the other Hellboy adjacent series like Abe Sapien, stuff like that. Like they wrote the script, so it is true to the story. And if there's any changes, he made the changes himself, because comic books don't translate to TV or films one for one along the way. So I'm excited for this. That's when does this come out? I didn't look it up along the way. So is this a fall movie?
Who knows? It could be in 4 weeks. It could be next year.
yeah, I'm trying to see because I this would be a good Halloween movie, like an October movie kind of thing, kind of thing. So I'm not. It doesn't say. Why does Wikipedia never tell me this stuff? Oh well, but yeah, absolutely good time with that. And thank you for adding it in. And I wanted to make sure we came back and brought it back for you, Mike, because I always make our show notes with you in mind.
Well, thank you.
And even though we had Superfan Jim guest host last week, thank you, Jim, for stepping in there. It was not planned along the way at all as we got there. Mike, that is the show for this week. We will get you back into your new family, having a good time, but then making memories, having a blast, making bottles, or whatever it is you do. But if people know what you're doing, what you're up to in the meantime, where can they find you, buddy?
Yeah, you can read my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where are you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems with the same name. If people want to know more about our show, where they can come back in 2 weeks and get a double dose of Deadpool and Wolverine and San Diego Comic-Con coverage, which is usually our biggest episode of the year. Where can they get them goodies at?
Yeah, all you got to do is head on over to superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find everything we do here at the show. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to podcasts. We got merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. What do you think about these trailers that we talked about this week? Do you have your Deadpool tickets? What do you think about that Captain America trailer? Reach out, let us know. And we love our super fans. And if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you next week.